Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about lifestyle medicine in preventing and reversing type 2 diabetes. So this is the first video in a series of videos to cover this topic because there's just so much to talk about, so many trials out there with amazing evidence coming out with how lifestyle intervention alone can be enough to prevent and to reverse type 2 diabetes. So I am really excited to be filming this for you guys today. This was kind of the crux of why I wanted to go onto YouTube and create these videos. To provide a brief intro for those of you who don't know me, my name's Nisha. I am a third-year internal medicine resident. Next year, I hope to be a primary care doctor, and I'm currently in process of getting my lifestyle medicine certification. So I thought I would bring you guys along my journey and share with you guys the things I'm learning through this curriculum and ways that you guys can live a happier and healthier lifestyle. So if that sounds interesting to you, then just keep watching. Okay, so for this introductory video, I wanted to cover three things. So first is just to give a brief overview of what type 2 diabetes is, the major organ systems it affects, and its prevalence in society. I also want to cover the economic burden of type 2 diabetes in the United States. And then finally, I wanted to go over the pathophysiology of type 2 diabetes and how exactly do lifestyle factors cause this disease to come into existence. So type 2 diabetes is one of the most preventable chronic diseases, and it is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. To be more exact, it is the 7th leading cause of death in America. So uncontrolled type 2 diabetes can lead to severe complications such as blindness, kidney failure, neuropathy, cardiovascular disease, which can lead to heart failure and heart attacks, and peripheral vascular disease and ischemic strokes. Furthermore, the cost of type 2 diabetes has become staggering, with people with type 2 diabetes spending at least 2 to 3 times more on medical costs than those without diabetes. So in 2017, it was estimated that the total economic cost of type 2 diabetes was $372 billion in total costs. This can be broken down to direct and indirect costs. So to go over the breakdown of the direct costs, this can be for things like hospital inpatient care, prescription medications for diabetes-related complications, anti-diabetic medications and diabetic supplies, physician office visits, and finally nursing and residential facilities and other outpatient care. For the indirect costs, these are things like loss of productivity, dependence on disability insurance, and things like that can result from the complications of type 2 diabetes. And this is not to mention the intangible costs of type 2 diabetes, mainly pain and suffering, mental, emotional health for those individuals who are suffering from these complications from type 2 diabetes, and also the burden of their caregivers who have to care for these individuals as their disease progresses. Okay, so for the next segment, I want to talk to you guys about the pathophysiology behind type 2 diabetes. So the root of diabetes is ultimately insulin resistance. So I just want to go over some key terminology in type 2 diabetes just to facilitate the rest of this learning. So insulin functions in the body as a response to high levels of glucose in your bloodstream. So once there's high levels of glucose in your bloodstream, which naturally occur after meals, then your insulin is stimulated to be secreted into your body, and this causes your body's cells to take in this glucose and use it as energy. So another term I wanted to go over is gluconeogenesis. So this is the production of new glucose into your body. This is an important mechanism. It mainly occurs in your liver, but this is very important in terms of starvation, in terms of creating new sources of energy for your body. Because remember, glucose is super key in the function of your neurons in your brain and your heart, and all of your skeletal muscle, basically. So it is super crucial to have glucose in your body at all times to account for any energy needs that your body requires. But anyway, so I talked about gluconeogenesis, I talked about insulin. Another term is hyperinsulinemia. So that is just when you have high levels of insulin in your bloodstream. Okay, so now let's get into the pathophysiology. Okay, so now to shift gears and get into the fun part, let's talk about the pathophysiology of type 2 diabetes. So the driver behind this disease is insulin resistance. And how does this occur? So it occurs with two basic components. One is chronic high caloric intake and the other is poor dietary quality. So how do these two factors lead to insulin resistance? I'm about to tell you. So over time, high caloric intake will result in higher levels of glucose in your body, and your skeletal muscle, which is the main source of consumption of this glucose, can only take so much glucose, right? So when there's too much glucose, then this glucose gets converted into lipids or fats, and these lipids get deposited into your organs. So things like skeletal muscle, your liver, your pancreas. And this mechanism is ultimately what drives the insulin resistance, which causes type 2 diabetes. So when these lipids get deposited into your organs, this causes oxidative stress. In other words, lipotoxicity. And this interferes with the normal cellular signaling, which causes the normal cycling of glucose into your body. And this ultimately will cause insulin resistance. Another paradigm used to understand the pathophysiology of type 2 diabetes is known as the twin cycles of type 2 diabetes. So this involves two organs, your liver and your pancreas. So how does this occur? So once you have the chronic high glucose intake, which causes high levels of glucose in your body, this will then result in conversion of this excess glucose into lipids or fats. And so these excess lipids, as I stated earlier, will get deposited into your liver. And this then will cause lipotoxicity, as I had mentioned, and this will impair the ability to shut off the mechanism of your liver to create more glucose. So just to rewind a little bit, one of the main functions of the liver is to create glucose for your body. And this is super key in moments of starvation because your liver can actually function as a powerhouse to prevent you from dying in case of starvation with this mechanism. But back to the type 2 diabetes pathogenesis. So with lipotoxicity, this impairs the ability of your liver to shut off this mechanism to create more glucose. And so now we have a rampant cycle of the liver producing more and more and more glucose, even though there's already a high level of glucose in your body. This then, of course, will elevate your basal insulin secretion. And again, guys, insulin is what is used to allow your body's cells to take in the glucose that is in excess in your body. So since there's a high level of glucose in your body, this increases your body's requirements of insulin. And so this causes something called hyperinsulinemia, which is basically high levels of insulin in your body. This then will increase the production of lipids in your body, which is crazy because we already have so much lipids being deposited all over our organs in our body. And then on top of that, we have this impaired glucose signaling, which actually will worsen the insulin levels and then in turn will actually increase the amount of lipids in our body. And this then worsens the lipid deposition in other organs, and most importantly, the pancreas. So to rewind again, the pancreas is the organ in our body that will actually produce insulin to actually take care of our high glucose levels. So once we have lipotoxicity in the pancreas, this actually impairs and even destroys those cells in the pancreas that produce insulin. And as you could probably tell, this just makes everything so much worse because your body already has a high level of glucose in the body, and therefore with high levels of glucose, it needs more insulin to counteract that high glucose level. And if you have the basic cells of your body which actually produce these insulin levels, so if you have the cells in your body which are producing insulin actually start dying off, then that worsens your high glucose rate and then actually increases conversion of this excess glucose into fat by your liver. or lipids. So as you can tell, these twin cycles of type 2 diabetes, they feed into each other and they worsen the whole situation. So I hope you guys enjoyed me nerding out about the pathophysiology of type 2 diabetes. If you have any more questions, I am happy to go further into detail about the physiology behind type 2 diabetes. I personally love learning about physiology. That was my favorite part of medical school. And I love teaching people as well. So I'll see you guys in my next video where I will dive into what a whole food plant-based diet actually looks like and the evidence behind its specific macronutrients in terms of preventing and reversing type 2 diabetes. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, please support my channel by hitting the like button and subscribe. And of course, feel free to leave a comment below if you have any questions about that pathophysiology. I'll also include links to my resources that I use to study this topic if you guys wanted to take a deeper dive into it yourselves. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you guys in my next video.